In fact, this is a very big masterclass that you
I'm
have to pay
telling.
for.
Personally, I feel like doing a PhD in Germany is actually the easiest route to come. I think when you are looking for a PhD, something that is very important to ask is what are people's relationship with their supervisor?
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to our YouTube channel. You're welcome. My name is Princess, and here we have a wonderful speaker, Ifoma. So, could you please introduce yourself a little bit?
Yeah, so thank you, Princess, for having me. My name is Ifoma. I'm a PhD student in the University of Tübingen, and I'm studying for a PhD in data science.
Oh, that's very nice. That's very good. So, I'm going to ask you some questions. I have some questions here listed on my phone. So, I'll just be looking at my phone and then I'm going to ask you some questions concerning PhD, because I feel like it's one of the difficult things to get if you want to study here in Germany. So, what made you to decide to pursue a PhD in your field?
Yeah, actually, I want to say that personally, I feel like doing a PhD in Germany is actually the easiest route to come.
Okay, to come. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, not to
Okay.
do, but I mean, but to
To
come.
come, okay.
Yes, yeah. But what made me study? Why am I studying this course?
Yeah.
Yeah. I really it was actually an accident.
Okay.
So what happened was, after secondary school, I was like, what should I do for my undergraduate? I wanted to do medicine, not because I love medicine, but
Okay.
because as a smart child, you should do medicine.
Okay.
Yeah. But you know how Nigeria is. You have to select just one university, like in JAM for a year, and then you have to have a super high score. Then you then start to talk about whether it's your catchment area and all that. I was just like, you know what? I love mathematics, then I'm going to do mathematics for my bachelor's.
Okay.
And getting mathematics, I feel nobody wants to do mathematics.
Yeah.
But I would easily get admitted. And so it happened. I applied, started my bachelor's in mathematics. And something I noticed was like many students after graduating, they went to do applied mathematics.
Okay.
And then I was then researching, oh, what are the things to do in applied mathematics? And then I just came across data science and it really sounded interesting.
Okay.
So I went on to do my master's in mathematical sciences with a focus in data science, and later actually had another master's in machine intelligence.
Okay.
And then I was just like, this actually is very cool,
That's
very
very nice.
applicable. And then so I decided to do a PhD in data science.
That's very nice. That's very good. So is it a must that you have to continue from where you stopped in your masters?
No, it's not a must. Like there are a lot of different paths to take. But if you also see the way the world is going, everybody wants to adopt AI.
True.
So data science is also like part of the AI field. Everybody wants to adopt it. So it's a hot topic. It has a lot of application. So it just felt like a natural thing for me to do.
Okay, that's nice. And do you feel like you like what you're doing right now, or do you feel like you would like to change? And
no, definitely not changing. But of course, there are days that are very difficult. You are trying out. So for data science, you do a lot of, at least what I do, a lot of coding, a lot of reading, trying to beat benchmarks. And sometimes it's really frustrating. And then you're like, oh God, why am I doing this PhD? Yeah, but I think it's really exciting.
Okay, but then you talked about, I mean, sometimes there are tough days and all that, but then is it always this tough? Is it that it's this difficult that you barely have time for other things, like, to travel, to do things? And let me just say, what does a typical day of a PhD student look like?
Okay.
Or a typical week?
Yeah, so it differs according to what you are studying. But for me, I think I do have time. At least the lab where I work is a nice lab. It's not like it's not toxic, and then they don't ask you to do, or you don't have to do so much that you don't have time for yourself. So a typical day for me is I wake up, say at 6 or at 7, I get ready. If I want to cook in the morning, I decide to cook. I like before going to work, which is totally bad. I feel it's good to cook during the weekend so that you can even sleep more. And then usually I try to be there in the lab between 9 and 10. So my lab, we are flexible. You can come, um, should I say, I don't want to say anytime you like, but as early as possible. And then, so if I arrive at 9, at 12, we have a lunch break for like an hour. Then from 1 p.m. to like 5, 6 p.m., you continue working. So in between the time, you have meetings, maybe with your supervisor, with your subgroup, to discuss about projects and other things.
Okay, good. And do you work during the weekend? What I mean during the weekend, do you have a mini job that sustains you, or is your PhD sponsored?
Yeah, so my PhD is sponsored. So for PhDs in Germany, there are different routes. So you could have a scholarship, mostly the DAD scholarship. You could also be employed directly by a supervisor, and then you get paid from the university or from some lab or somewhere. So, or you could also actually be on a fellowship. Or so the thing about Germany is funding. So even if you have an offer, it's now a question of where does my funding come. So there are also in sciences, usually you get some form of scholarship or some form of payment. But when you're in the arts, most art students actually have to pay. From what I know. So
that's interesting.
Depending on the university, for example, University of Tübingen in general, you pay fees. But other universities, so it's also something you have to think about. The university you are coming to, how much do you need to pay, and all of that. But I feel like there are a lot of scholarships or fundings available for PhD students. You just have to really search for it. Yeah.
Search for it. And was it difficult to get yours?
Not really, because so mine, I had my PhD in a different, not a typical, the way people typically get it. I first did an internship, and in the lab where I did an internship, the professor decided to ask whether I would want a PhD or not.
Okay, that's nice.
Yeah, so I then did the formal application and all. But for someone who is already in Africa, you may also decide to apply for an internship. Like that way, they already know you, know what you can do, and then if you do well, they can offer you a PhD, or you can even scout for a PhD while you're already here.
Okay. That's very impressive. You talked about your work environment not being toxic. Could you explain? Your because I feel like the most important thing is also finding a good place to stay.
Really
If the environment is very toxic, then you will not grow there.
Yeah.
So how does your relationship with your supervisor look like?
Yeah, I think it's a healthy relationship. You are able to express yourself and say, okay, this where I am at, and also say this is what I want to do. But I've heard stories, and really, I think when you are looking for a PhD, something that is very important to ask is what are people's relationship with their supervisor? Is your supervisor someone that wants to always be like, this is how it should be?
Yeah,
that's how you should do it. The person is not open to hearing
their own opinion.
Exactly. So I think and also the lab culture. So, for example, in my lab, oftentimes we have like meetups, we go hiking together, we have retreats together, we also go on maybe dinners, and also this is also important because there are days that are so bad you really just want to cool off.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So, you actually said that coming through, using the PhD route is the easiest way to come to Germany. Do you think it's worth it, doing a PhD in Germany, or do you think that there are some countries that are quite better than Germany?
Being here in Germany, I feel it's actually good. I mean, I don't have experience in terms of other countries, but from what I've heard, so previously the US has been a place to go. Why? Because the US has a lot of funding, so you typically have some way to fund your PhD. But now with the new regulations, restrictions of visa, so maybe it's not. I mean, even if you get admitted, you might actually not be able to go because you can't get a visa. But I think also for Germany, there's typically most times a work-life balance. So you actually have 30 days of leave if you are employed by the university. Even your professors typically during the summer vacation, they go on vacation. So you also have to go on vacation because there is no one to supervise you. So I think Germany has a good work-life balance, and then there are a lot of things to go. For example, you can travel around the Schengen area safely. When you're in the US, you may not be able. You can only travel within the US because of visa restrictions and all. So I actually think Germany is a good place.
Okay, sure. Okay, before you started a PhD here in Germany, did you have any expectations that you're not like that was not even the reality? Like do you have any high expectations?
Yes. So firstly, because I had done this master's in machine intelligence, and for me it wasn't too difficult, but it was like challenging. I was coding for the first time. I just felt like, oh, it's not so difficult. It's actually going to be very easy. Oh my god. It's not as I thought.
Okay.
I felt like at the end of after 3 years, I'll be done with my PhD. I don't see that happening. So yeah, it's actually more challenging than I thought.
Okay.
And also the pace at which I thought I would go, so maybe very fast. Yeah, I think just that were things that really caught me off guard. And also, you have to do a lot of reading. So I actually didn't realize that. I mean, I know you have to read, but this time around, you have to also read broadly and compare. So it's usually like you compare what is in the field, what to improve, and stuff like that. So yeah, there are several things that were actually surprising to me.
Okay, not just this one, but then let's just stop here first.
Yeah.
And then talking about reading a lot and all that, what do you have to tell the people that are watching us right now? If do they need German language certificate to do their PhD, or is it possible to do your PhD in English language here in Germany?
Yeah, most PhDs in Germany are actually in English.
Okay.
The only thing is that in terms of interaction with your group members, so that's why you also have to ask when you are being interviewed, what is like the culture in the lab? Do they have a lot of internationals? Because if it's German heavy, then it's good for you to already know how to speak German, because just imagine you're a group of people and then they're already speaking their language, which is German, and then you're the only international. So it's like you're always forcing them to switch.
True.
I mean, Germans are very nice people.
Yeah, of course.
And then they would switch because of you. But also at least for me, it's just like, I don't want them to always change because I'm there. So my lab, I really like my lab because it's really international. Like you have people from everywhere. So if it would be good if you can learn German, but it's not necessary. Also, like your day-to-day interaction, you want to call to make an appointment, but it's also something you learn. So for most of the PhD programs, they actually fund you or pay for your German classes or provide a way for you to learn German at least to A2. Then after that, you may need to pay for yourself.
Okay.
Yeah, so German is not necessary, but it's good to be able to just interact with people.
True. Also, when you want to come buy something, when you're in the train, so you hear when they're changing the
That's what. Oh my god! Don't talk about how I missed my train so many times.
Yeah, it's also very important. I mean, if you can just learn up to B1, that's perfect. I mean, you don't need C1 and all that. That's for universities. But then B1 is okay if you want to live a normal life here in Germany.
But you can actually learn it here. It's not a must. It has to be in your country. So while you are here, you learn. I'm also learning. I just finished A2, but don't ask me what I can pick up to A2.
Okay, that's nice. We're almost at the end of our section, but so that's why I would like to ask two more questions. Number one is, if you had to start your PhD from beginning, but I know you will not start, but let's assume that you have to start from beginning. What mistake would you not make? Like, What mistake did you already make that you would not make again?
Yeah, so I think what I would do is like my first year, I would really have invested it to like I think I was a bit distracted in my first year.
Okay.
I was traveling a lot, like
Yeah.
like in terms of I mean it was travel related to what I
Okay.
do, maybe conferences and
Mm.
all these kind of things. But I think I would have really been should I say in one place more to
Okay.
really get something out.
Yeah.
Also, one skill I really recognize in PhDs is like communication
Mm.
and independence. So when you do a PhD, at the end you are expected to be independent.
Okay.
So have your own thoughts, be able to think for yourself and say, okay, no, this is not how things should be. I mean, you should be able to welcome people's suggestions, but you should also have your idea. So I feel like I was like waiting to be told what to do. And I've noticed that that's not how it works.
Yeah, true.
So even for my friends that are doing their PhD, they have also told me the same thing. Like they want you to be proactive. This is the next step. Quickly get it done, or communicate that this is how it should be done. Also, in terms of meetings with my supervisor, I think I wasn't like well prepared doing my meeting. So for each meeting you have, you're supposed to be like, yes, this is what I've done, this
Okay.
is what I would like to do. Already have it. I mean, most times they say, yes, this is the next thing to do. But also being more having more initiative and communicating more. I think yeah, that is something I would have changed.
Okay, that's nice. That's nice. Okay, the last question is what advice would you give someone that is, that want to do PhD here in Germany, but is concerned on how to go about, about it, and also the funding and all this? So just a brief summary of everything.
Yeah, so there are actually a lot of resources out there that you can listen to, which is nice. And then the DAD website has like a lot of openings that you can check. So that is if your funding is going to be from DAD. If it's going to be from a professor, you already know the kind of things you want to do for a PhD. So you can just search papers related to what you want to do. And the professors that are there, you write them and send in your CV, your transcript, and tell them why you're interested. So for a cold email, I'll just talk about it briefly. That is, a cold email is actually you expressing your interest that you want to do a PhD. So you cannot just come and tell me, "Oh, I'm interested in doing a PhD with you," but you don't show me that you actually know me.
Okay.
So what they are supposed to do is to read 1 to 2 papers about the intended professor they want to work with, and actually identify a gap that they think they can fill. So maybe the person is working in data science and medicine, say, I don't know, ophthalmology images, and using a particular kind of method. They can propose that, oh, I actually think this method is better, or this method can improve, something to show that, oh, I'm really enthusiastic about working. And for Germany, really, I think Germany is actually just opening up to Africans studying.
Yeah.
So they really don't have an idea as to how, for example, our transcript, what does A mean? For example, the grading system in Germany is different from that of Germany. The grading system in Nigeria is different from that of Germany. So to give them an idea as to what A means, you can also, if your transcript doesn't have these definitions of A, you can create, for example, an Excel sheet, write all the courses you did, say so this is one thing I did when I was applying. I had an Excel sheet where I wrote all the courses, all the topics I covered in that in those courses, and then also explained what A means 70, B means this, to give them an idea as to this my transcript, what is the value of that transcript, and to also help them. There's also the Anabim website where you can check what state your university is. So you can also check and also include it in the email. Oh, you can look at my university, it's listed on Anabim.
Good.
So this actually shows enthusiasm and maybe attend 1 or 2 conferences. For me personally, before my PhD, I never attended any. So, but that could be helpful. It just makes you, it just helps to show that you are really interested.
Cool. True. Okay, we have said a lot here. Yeah, in fact, this is a very big masterclass that you have to pay for. So, are you open for one-on-one consultations for those that want to, get to know more about PhD here in Germany or in any other country?
Yeah, definitely. I'm open to it, and they can follow us on our channels, and yeah, I think in this YouTube video, we'll just have the link there.
Yeah. We're going to put it on the video description.
Yeah.
So in case you have questions about PhD and also maybe masters, because I feel like you also have an idea about masters, you can always reach out to her and she'll do well to answer you. Okay, thank you so much for staying to the end of this our video, and bye.
Bye.